Hi guys, so Raghu and I will be doing this entire series of small videos which are kind of made to help you sail through Qt. Okay, so I guess we'll start right away. I'll share my screen. I hope it's visible. So we'll start with the first lecture, which was started with this sampling technique. So why do we basically need it? When we are doing a market study, we have an entire population, and it's practically infeasible to get data from every single people in the population, every single person from the population. So what we do is we kind of take a sample from that population, study the sample, and then come up with a generalization. So the diagram that you can see, we have the entire population and we select a sample from that. And the process of selecting a sample is basically called sampling technique. So sampling, and we take that and apply quantitative techniques to study the sample, the characteristics of the sample. And using the inferences that we get, we try to generalize the details of the population. So it can be any parameter that we can study about the population. So there are a few steps that you take to approach this entire thing. First, you find the target population, then you find the sampling frame, which is basically how you view the population to get the samples. So how are you finding it? And there are sampling techniques. So what are the methods that you're using? And there are separate ways to figure out the appropriate sample size, and there are ways to collect data. So most of these you will be studying in RM. I guess someone is making a video for that, research methodologies. So for us, this session is to concentrate on sampling techniques. So let's just see what sampling techniques are. So there are two types of sampling techniques, which is non-probability methods and probability methods. Basically, one involves a lot of math and other does not. So let's first look at the non-math part, which is fun, easy. So convenience sampling basically says, okay, I know a few people, I'll go collect details from them. That's it. It's convenient to me, I'll do it. So that is convenience sampling. Judgmental sampling is something where you take an expert opinion. So an expert comes into picture and says, oh, this person would be a good candidate, he'd be a good respondent, oh, that person would be a good respondent. So the judgment happens where you get to pick respondents, and using that you get the details. Quota sampling is basically it's something like you have an entire population, you know that 60% men, 40% women. So the sample that you collect should be an appropriate representation of that. So the sample should have 60% men and 40% women. So whatever the numbers be, on based on any kind of parameter that you want to classify. Snowball sampling is something like there are some special cases where, so suppose I need details from a dentist. I know just one dentist. So how will I get how will I get more dentists? So what I'll do is I'll approach the dentist that I know. That dentist will give me, he'll be a respondent, and he knows another dentist of his, and that dentist, she'll give me the next response, and this kind of snowballs into multiple respondents. So this is basically snowball sampling. Now that non-probability methods are done, let's just go to probability methods, which the first one is simple random sampling. So I have an entire population, and every single element of that population has an equal probability of being selected. So there are 50 members in the population, and I need a sample size of 5, then goddamn, everyone has an equal probability of being selected. That's it. That is one. And the systematic sampling is something like the same. Let's just take the same thing. I have a sample of a population of 50, and I divide the population into batches of 5, 5, 5, 5. And from the first 5, I select the second element. So there is some kind of arranging done. So I select the second element. And from the next 5, I again select the second element. And from the third 5, I select the second element. So there is a proper systematic way that I follow to pick up the samples. So that is systematic sampling technique. And next we'll move to the stratified sampling techniques, where strata is basically categorization based on some parameter. Okay, so for example, I have a population, I have categorized them into 2 stratas. So one strata has a specific set of characteristics and the other has another specific set of characteristics. So if I take a strata, people inside the strata would be homogeneous. They would have the same characteristics. And so when you're defining a strata, you can say something like it is homogeneous inside and heterogeneous across. Inside a strata, everything will be same. The parameter would be same. So for example, I take blue-eyed people as one strata and blonde-haired people, or gray-eyed people as another strata. And I need, for the sample, I select a few from the first strata and few from the second strata, depending upon how much I need. So this is stratified sampling. And the next thing that you move on is cluster sampling. So in cluster sampling, it's like the reverse of stratified sampling technique, where inside a cluster you have all the characteristics that you need from a sample. So for example, you need blue-eyed blonde-haired people. So each cluster will have blue-eyed blonde hair, the other cluster will have blue-eyed blonde hair, the next cluster will have blue-eyed blonde hair people. And depending upon the number of samples that I need, sample size that I need, I pick and a different amount of cluster. So I pick like 3 clusters, 4 clusters, whatever. And this is cluster. So when you define a cluster, it is exactly opposite to a strata, where it is heterogeneous inside and homogeneous throughout. So homogeneous across. So this is basically the sampling techniques, which is very basic. So I hope the video is very small, and we intend to keep all the videos very short. Yeah, so these the techniques are not just restricted to this one. So these are just to give an idea of what sampling techniques are. So yeah, thank you.